Welcome back to The Grind for a complete guide on the final boss of Act 7, Superior Kang. Now in this fight, you're going to have to complete actions to then have him counterattack for you to avoid, either evade or well-timed block, and in doing so, you'll gain these soup stream or substream charges, and once you get to 10, you will push him into a weakened, wounded state for you to deal damage. Now, you can parry and attack for one of the counterattack actions, or you can intercept for another one. You want to take note of what these symbols look like because after doing it, he will ban the actions. You can also intercept a heavy attack or counter a heavy attack to prompt a counterattack, and that will be a fist. And then the final one is to attack or counterattack after a special attack, and that one looks like kind of a flame or burst symbol. You want to memorize these so you know what not to do, because if you do the same action after it's been banned, you will be passively stunned and he will be indestructible and you will likely get wrecked. You also want to be very familiar with his special 1 animation as well as his counterattack animation because you're going to have to dex it a large number of times. So the first hit is just a close-up energy beam, and then it's 3 shots, 1, 2, and then he gets down for a third. And the spacing or the timing is a little bit slower than you might anticipate. You also want to make sure you're prepared for the special 2 just in case you push him there, which is not ideal. There's 4 attacks for that one. So in phase 1, he's only going to ban 1 action, and that will be the most recent action performed. So you can choose to do the easiest where you parry counterattack, and then maybe bait a heavy attack and then counterattack, and then you can parry again right after. And you can either dex or perform a well-timed block or parry on the counterattack to get those substream charges. And then you just have to continue cycling this up to 10 charges. You also want to bait the special attack out as soon as you can so he doesn't get to 2 bars of power. Unfortunately, he threw a special attack, so I'm just kind of waiting out this special attack, and then I go in and he is wounded because I had 10 charges when I hit him. So now you want to deal as much damage as you can during this wounded state, and in the first phase you actually deal more damage for each unique buff that you have on you. In the second phase you'll deal more for each unique debuff that you have on Kang, and then in the third phase you deal more damage for just every buff you have, and then the fourth phase is just every debuff that is on Kang. So champions that have buffs and debuffs can be very helpful for this fight. Now, basically, you just repeat the process up to 10 charges until you finish the health of Kang for the first time. And then once you remove all his health, he's going to rewind time, essentially, and go back to full health, but the next stage. And you'll see what stage it is based on the persistent charge. The persistent charge stays if you die, so you'll be starting the next phase in that stage, as well as however many substream charges you had, you'll carry over into the next fight, even if you're using a different champion. So Doom is another good option for this because he's so tanky. He can take blocked hits if you need to, if you're in a tough situation, and he just is very tanky. He doesn't have the most damage, so it might take 2 or 3 cycles to actually get through the full health bar. So in stage 2, you have still just 1 action banned, but he can speed up or slow down his counterattack. So he unfortunately has 2 bars of power now. So we're going to try to bait that out. And unfortunately, we're just going to take blocked hits because I wasn't as familiar at the time with how to dex it. But since Doom is so tanky, we didn't really take too much damage from it. And then we're going to go in and do an intercept counterattack, and that one was fast. Unfortunately, I intercepted again, so he stunned me. And as you can see, the counterattacks being different speed can make a difference and kind of mess you up until you're used to the timing of it. The worst one, in my opinion, is when he slows down his special 1. That one was kind of hard to get used to, but once you get used to it, it's not too bad. So I recommend just kind of practicing with the champions that you think might not be the best counter so that you can get familiar with his counterattacks and special attacks. And that is pretty much the difference in stage 2. And again, remember, you'll do more damage based on how many unique debuffs are on Kang in the wounded stage. So now we're going in with 10 charges, and we're going to push him into the wounded state. He's stunned. We're going to throw off the special 3 to get that damage in and start gaining more power. and then we're going to keep beating into him. We've got a Fury. We only really have one debuff on Kang at a time, but you know, it's okay. We're getting a little damage from that. And then when we throw off our special 2, we're actually going to get 3 incinerates, but that's only one unique debuff. And then when we get the shock on him, we would do more damage. I went for the route of just throwing as many heavies as I could right at the end of that wounded stage. And then we had to repeat the cycle a couple times in order to complete the full bar of health. So in stage 3, you still have to worry about him changing the speed of his counterattacks. He does not change the speed of his special attacks until stage 4, but also in stage 3, he'll be able to ban 2 counter actions. So that means you have to rotate, going from a stun, an intercept, and baiting a heavy, as well as the special attack. And at the very start, if he has no power, you'll have to do all 3 of the other actions in order to give him enough power to bait a special. So you will have to be conscious of that and pay attention to which actions are banned, and maybe having a specific rotation in your mind which actions you will do might be helpful until you get really familiar with the icons and everything. But you want to make sure not to repeat an action that has already been banned until it is no longer banned, otherwise you will get stunned. So now we're building up. We have 9 of these substream charges. We're going to get another one after dexing this special attack. Now we just have to get an attack in if I can, you know, stop messing up. Now we've wounded him, and we just have to, again, deal as much damage as possible during the wounded cycle. And since this is phase 3, we'll be doing extra damage for each unique buff that you have on yourself. And so champions that gain a lot of buffs and debuffs and place a lot of debuffs will be useful for all stages. But if you want to bring specific champions for specific stages, then you can prioritize which type of champion you want to meet the needs of the buffs and debuffs. And then once you get through the stage, unfortunately I messed up here. I had the counter attack banned, so then I went in and he killed me. But you saw I had 8 substream charges there. Now we're going into the next fight, and we automatically start with 8, making it very easy for us to go into the wounded state. Now Human Torch is one of the best, if not the best, counters for this fight, because every counter attack is going to give you a smolder charge, and if you block any parts of the special attacks, you'll get smolder charges as well. So as you continue to go on in the fight, the smolder charges are going to build and build and build, making him hit harder and harder and harder further into the fight that you get. Now this does rely on you being able to survive long enough in order to get to the late stages. So early on it might not, you know, be ideal, because if you're dying either every stage or every half stage, then you're going to be losing those smolder charges. But he's still a fantastic option once you get the hang of it, especially. So this is now stage 4. He's still going to be banning 2 actions at a time, so you have to be very conscious of what is banned, and he's going to be able to speed up and slow down his special attacks in addition to his counter attacks. That is the new addition to stage 4, or phase 4, is being able to speed up and slow down his special attacks. So it can be a little bit tricky at first to get the hang of when to dex for these fast and slow special attacks. I found the slow special attack to be the most annoying to get used to. But I did take my fair share of sped up special attacks to the face. For example, this next one, I believe here, I got a little bit too excited, dexed quite a bit early, and that really kind of threw me off, and then I tried to intercept and got wrecked. But we're going back in with Human Torch, and we're going to make this happen. So again, stage 4, 2 actions are banned at a time. He can speed up and slow down both the counter attacks as well as the special attacks. So you want to be very comfortable with the animations and just watch it over and over again, getting very familiar with it before you go in to do it yourself. And then once you get to 10 charges, you just land an attack and then go ham. Do as much damage as you can, build up the smolders, in the stages before if you are able to survive long enough, and you'll be able to tear through well over 50% of his health in a single wounded state. And if you've survived long enough and you've built up enough smolders, you'll be able to go through the entire health bar fairly easily in a single wounded state with Human Torch. So he is one of the easiest champions to solo in probably the quickest amount of time, because he has the least amount of cycles required, especially in the later stages when you can shred through the entire health bar in a single wounded stage. So as you can see, I've got only 10 smolders now, but the damage is getting pretty nice. The Nova Flames and stuff are lasting quite long and dealing more and more damage the more smolders we get. And that is basically it for this boss. You just continue the cycle. And the main thing is remembering what the icons mean for which action is banned, and being comfortable dexing the counter attacks as well as special attacks, and being able to modify it for the speed that he decides. So I really do hope that this video is helpful. I hope you enjoy the fight. I know I did myself, and I'm very excited for the exploration rewards coming. Keep an eye on the channel for the completion opening, which was, spoiler alert, amazing. And I hope to see you in the next video.